Hi everyone, a very good morning to all of you and happy TGIF. Today is a Friday, so the weekend is ahead. So thank you for being on time and even early in joining us today. So while we are waiting for more people to stream in, let me just give everyone a brief rundown of what is going to happen during the webinar today. So for a start, I will just be doing a quick introduction of what selling on Amazon is going to be like. So during this process, for those who have been attending our Amazon webinar series, you would have been very familiar with what I'm about to share. So in the meantime, if you have any questions regarding Amazon, do put them down in the Q&A box and I will address them after my sharing. So I will probably take around 20 minutes to share a little bit more about what the whole selling on Amazon is about. And then I'll pass on my session to Tiva. So today we are very honored to have Tiva from Registrar Corp with us to share with us a little bit more about FDA requirements, your nutritional labeling, as well as some of the tips and tricks on what you need to take note when you are applying for an FDA cert. So if you have any question for Tiva as well, please note them down in the Q&A box and we will answer them at the end of this webinar. So for those, especially for those who plans to sell food into the US, you need to have an FDA cert. So do take note and really listen into this webinar. So just an advice, you don't need to take down any notes because this webinar is recorded. So at the end of it, we will be sending you a slide deck, a recording link, and you can view the recording link whenever you want. So just pay attention and ask any questions you want in the Q&A box. So now is 11:01. So let me just share my screen. Give me a second. Let me just share screen. So just give me 1 second, yeah. Okay, 10. So as I've mentioned, hi everyone, just a quick introduction on myself. My name is Yijie and I'm an account manager from Amazon Global Selling Team. And today I will be sharing with you on how you can get started with selling globally on Amazon. So here are some of the topics that I will be covering today. Firstly is the introduction to cross-border e-commerce, what it means by cross-border e-commerce, as well as an introduction to Amazon Global Selling. I will also be covering some of the benefits, tools, and programs that especially catered to Amazon sellers. And also, lastly, some of the things you need to take note before you begin selling on Amazon. So let's get started. So most of you would have been very familiar with domestic e-commerce, where the sellers and customers are in the same country, right? For example, if you are a Singapore seller, when you sell on Amazon.sg, whereas on the other hand, cross-border e-commerce refers to a business model in which sellers from different countries buy and sell products through an online marketplace such as Amazon to overseas customer. So there are many similarities between domestic and cross-border e-commerce, but the operation is slightly different due to the geographical differences between the customer and the seller. For example, for cross-border transaction, you will receive foreign currencies and how you can convert them into your local currencies and legally deposit them into your bank account requires a professional cross-border payment solution. So Amazon relies on a strong global logistic and distribution network and constantly introduce new innovative products and tools to allow local companies to sell their product to the world through Amazon more simply and conveniently. So the question is how you can do this with Amazon Global Selling. So Amazon Global Selling is one of the business units that helps businesses from anywhere around the world to launch a global business, reaching customers all over the world and building international brands. So with Amazon Global Selling, these are the type of countries that you can sell into from North America, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. However, one thing to highlight is that my team only focuses on sellers selling in the North American marketplace. So that includes US, Canada, and Mexico. So a question that a lot of sellers like to ask is what differentiates Amazon from our competitors? Firstly, Amazon has a global footprint and worldwide customer base, and we have a physical presence in 20 over countries with over 300 million worldwide active customer account and 200 million over Prime members all over the world. Amazon also has a leading logistic infrastructure, which helps sellers like yourself to deliver your products in over 200 over countries. Sellers can leverage on fulfillment by Amazon to help fulfill their local and international orders. And this is something that I will be covering later on in my slides. So lastly, Amazon is also always adding tools and services to help sellers scale their business. So in 2020 alone, Amazon actually released more than 250 tools and services to help sellers manage their Amazon business. Now let me take you through the tools and programs that I have briefly mentioned just now. So firstly, let me go through product selection. So I understand that for many sellers who are interested to start with e-commerce, this topic could be one of the most asked questions. So here are a few areas in which you can look into for ideas to inspire you. So to find this, you can just Google them up. So let's say if you Google Amazon bestseller and you click into the first Amazon.com result, you should see a page like this on Amazon. So over here, the highlighted portion, you can see the 5 areas that I've mentioned previously. And then under any department, there is also, you can click into the different categories in which you have interest to sell in and see what are the best selling products under that category. So the items will show accordingly. So this exercise can sort of help you to gain more understanding of consumer behavior so that you can assess the potential of a certain product. You can also click on the listing to see, to read the customer reviews and to better understand what are the likes and dislikes of each customer. So you can ask yourself questions like, are there ways in which you can innovate and improve the current product to create more value for the customer? If the answer is yes, you know that you are off to a good start. Alternatively, if you wish to leave your product research and scouting to a third party, you can navigate the software and service partners page on Seller Central. So please note that all information on Seller Central is only exclusively available to Amazon sellers. So to navigate to this page, simply go to your Partner Network tab and then click into Find Apps and Services. And then under them, under launch and product research and scouting, you can find a list of, you will see a lot of third-party vendors in which you can filter based on price, as well as the marketplaces that they support. Next, let me go through fulfillment. So there are 2 different ways on how you can fulfill your product on Amazon. Firstly, is fulfillment by merchant. So this means that you fulfill the orders by yourself. So as you can see from this table, if you decide to fulfill the orders by yourself, you will need to prepare each order, answer customers' question in their own local languages within 24 hours, and also provide customers a return address in the US. So option number 2 is fulfillment by Amazon, and let me address this in greater detail in the next page. So what is fulfillment by Amazon? In short, fulfillment by Amazon is a logistic program created to help our sellers to scale their business. So why do we say that? It is because through FBA, you can sell your products and Amazon will pick, pack, ship, and provide customer service on your behalf. So for sellers who are just starting out, good news is there is no minimum number of units you must send to the fulfillment center. So when your products are in FBA, they are eligible for Amazon Prime free 2-day shipping, and your listings are displayed with a Prime badge. So for more information on Amazon Prime, it is basically a subscription service from Amazon, and it gives the members access to exclusive shopping, entertainment, services, discounts, and more. So Prime members will usually prefer to buy Prime products as they know that the fulfillment process, customer service, and returns are all handled by Amazon. So having the Prime badge will increase product visibility and conversion among buyers. As you can see, By using Amazon, by using FBA, you can allow Amazon to manage the operation part of your business while you focus on scaling your business quickly by using things such as brand optimization and advertising, which I will cover later on. So let me briefly walk you through the steps to use FBA. Step number 1 is register yourself as an Amazon seller. Step number 2 is to create a product relisting. So based on the category that you have decided to sell in, there are different category approval in which you will need to attain. So therefore, make sure that this step number 2 is done first before you ship your product to the FBA, because if your product arrives at the fulfillment center and you are not approved to sell in that category, your inventory will remain inactive until you obtain approval. And then step number 3 is you prepare your products to send to the Amazon Fulfillment Center. Step number 4 is to assign inventory in FBA. So by default, your fulfillment process will always be fulfillment by merchant. So you will need to convert them from fulfillment by merchant to FBA, and you can do so via your Seller Central portal under the Manage Inventory tab. So step number 5 is to create a shipment to our fulfillment center. And step number 6, you can send and track your shipment. So once your shipment arrives at the Amazon fulfillment center, you will receive an email indicating that they have received your inventory. So we do have in-depth guides and step-by-step tutorials to guide you through the whole process in detail. So you can find them under our Seller University page. Now that we have covered fulfillment process, let's dive into why you should expand your brand cross-border. So here are some interesting insights that I would like to share. So one survey actually found that 50% of Amazon consumers choose familiar brands when spending. Branded products are usually quickly remembered by customers, which in turn cultivates brand loyalty and resulting in repeated purchases. In an internal study done by us, we also found that brand owners typically increase sales 1.5 times faster than other sellers on average. So how can Amazon help brand owners or sellers who are interested to launch their own brand to scale and protect their business on Amazon? So Amazon Brand Registry is actually a free services which helps businesses protect their intellectual property and to create an accurate, trusted experience for customer on Amazon. So naturally, if you have big or good ideas, it is unsurprising that your competitors might try to replicate your product, but they cannot replicate your brand. So by joining Amazon Brand Registry, you can protect your brand as well as your product. So if you are a brand owner with US trademark, brand protection is available through Brand Registry, which allows you to directly identify and flag counterfeit product in real time. So there are 2 pillars of benefits with Amazon Brand Registry. Firstly, it is the brand protection tools. So let me introduce you to some of the brand protection programs that Amazon have developed. Firstly, it is the automated brand protection. So this helps you to proactively identify and remove suspected infringement. Secondly, is the report a violation tool. This allows brand to directly report infringement to Amazon, and then you can track all these reports under the submission history. Our Amazon IP Accelerator program also connects you with curated network of trusted IP law firms to provide high quality trademark registration services at a competitive rate. So our transparency program is an item level product serialization service that uniquely identifies product and help us to provide counterfeit product against your branded product listing. And lastly, Amazon Project Zero. This helps us to partner with you to drive counterfeits to zero. Now that I have covered the brand protection part of Amazon from the brand registry benefits, I want to cover a little bit more about the features that you can use under Amazon Brand Registry to reach more customers. So the features shown on screen here are all exclusively to brand owners selling on Amazon stores. So Brand Registry actually provides you with things like A+ content, brand analytics, stores, and sponsored brands, and all these can help to market your product better and reach more customers. Now, let me cover Amazon advertising so that you can take a closer look at the self-service advertising solutions available. So Amazon advertising features a series of cost per click solutions that lets you target by keyword or product to help you increase the visibility of the individual product that you are selling. So these ads usually available to customers in their search result or on the product detail page. And when clicked, this ads link straight to your product listing to help you to drive sales. So the creatives for all these advertising solutions are automatically generated on your product listing. And of course, if you are a seller enrolled in Amazon Brand Registry, there are other solutions available such as sponsored brands, brand videos, and sponsored display. So when setting up your advertising campaign, you can select the product and keywords you would like to include. So you will be able to decide how much you want to spend on each campaign and setting budgets once your ad is launched. And these, like I mentioned just now, can appear in search result or on the product detail page that a customer is browsing through. So as an advertiser, you will only need to pay when your ad is clicked, and you will be able to track a variety of matrices, including your impression, analyze your advertising cost of sales, or by looking at sales and conversion data to better optimize your advertising campaign. So in short, these are the three benefits with Amazon advertising. So one of the most important thing about Amazon advertising is that our solution are flexible and responsive. It is not only just easy to launch, but you can also adjust them at every stage of your advertising. So for instance, for sponsored ads, it can help you to improve your product visibility, right? So this can lead to an increase in sales. And since you will be delivering high relevant ads to customers who are shopping for products similar to yours and are motivated to make purchases. Our advertising console also provides clear reporting, allow you to see what are the keywords that is performing better and allow you to optimize your ads accordingly. Next, so after sharing with you all the different tools and services that is available for you to use on Amazon, now let me introduce you to this exciting new seller incentive program that we have launched this year specifically to help new sellers like you to ease the cost and risk in your initial selling journey on Amazon. So it consists of three elements. So firstly, is to help brand owners to grow their brands. So new sellers who are identified as brand owners with Amazon Brand Registry within the first 6 months can enjoy 5% bonus on up to $1 million in eligible sales. So that is up to 50,000 in bonus. Secondly, for sellers who are not registered in brand registry, you will be able to enjoy the benefits for the second and third pillars. So you'll be granted $200 in credits for using Amazon Global Logistics for all your inbound shipping when you ship to our fulfillment center. You will also be automatically enrolled in this new FBA selection program, which allows you to get free monthly storage, liquidation, and return processing for eligible new to FBA products. And lastly, you will be able to reach more customers with Amazon ads by signing up for sponsored products and launch a campaign for your FBA listing and get up to $200 credit for that. Besides that, you will also get $50 in credit when you adopt coupons. Another exciting news for new sellers is that Prime Day is just around the corner. So for those who are not aware of what Prime Day is, it is one of our biggest sales event of the year. And during this time, Amazon will be engaging in mass marketing activities to drive external traffic into the Amazon platform. And this creates a great opportunities for new sellers to engage with new potential buyers. So if you're wondering when is the best time to start selling and to overcome the cold start, Prime Day will be a great opportunity for you to leverage on. So now let me take you through a quick guide on how you can get started with us. Firstly, there are two types of Amazon selling plan. They are the professional as well as the individual selling plan. So if you are planning to sell less than 40 items a month, you can consider using the individual selling account. But please note that there are additional 99 cents per item fee and the referral fee for each item you are selling when you're using the individual selling plan. So if you're planning to grow big and sell more than 40 items a month, I highly recommend you to get started with a professional selling plan. So being on the professional selling plan provides you with greater access to customize your store setting and to provide a better shopping experience for your customer. Also, our team provide account management support to professional sellers only. Hence, by default, we always highly encourage sellers to sign up for the professional selling plan. A question that a lot of potential sellers would ask is, how much does it cost to sell on Amazon? So we can break them down into 4 main components. Number 1 is the selling plan, which we covered just now. And secondly is the referral fee. So Amazon charges a percentage fee on items sold. So the amount varies across different categories, but generally falls between the 6 to 15%. And this includes your shipping costs and other charges. You can find out more detailed breakdown of the cost by category on our website. Thirdly is the fulfillment fees, but these will only be activated if you are using fulfillment by Amazon. And lastly, the other costs such as marketing costs when you're using our advertising console, coupons, and etc. So please note that one thing is that when you are setting up your seller account, you will need to provide a credit card where we will be able to charge you the fees, and a bank account where we can deposit the sales proceeds. So let me move on to the next page. So this gives you a greater detail on what you need to get started. Firstly is a bank account number. Secondly is the chargeable credit card. Thirdly is the government issued national ID, such as NRIC, passport, as well as driver's license. You will need your tax information and your phone number as well. So here are a checklist of documents that you will need to have before you actually submit your identity documents. So please make sure that when you're looking back at this recording, pause and make sure that you check all the boxes before you submit them in order to expedite your registration process. So for more information, you can also scan the QR code at the bottom right-hand side of my page to get more information about the registration process. So lastly, before I pass on the session over to Tiva, here are some anecdotes that we have received from our local sellers, such as Naoki Matcha, Pristine Aroma, as well as Ray Smith, all of which these sellers, they have managed to find success with selling on Amazon and have since expanded globally to many other marketplaces, such as EU5, UK, and the Middle Eastern marketplace. So that's it for me today. You can follow us on Facebook to see more tips and advices on selling on Amazon.com. Also, if you are keen to get started with us, please scan the QR code on the right-hand side to fill up the form, and our Amazon representative will schedule a session with you to explain the selling process further and to onboard you. So I will now pass on my time to Tiva, who will explain more about FDA registration and requirements. Let me just stop sharing so that Tiva can share his screen. Yep, Tiva, on to you.
Hi, thank you for the introduction, EJ. So hi everyone, my name is Deva. I'm the regulatory advisor for Registrar Corp, and I take care of countries such as mainly Singapore and Malaysia to export their products into the US. So I'll be talking a bit about US FDA regulations that you need to comply with in order to export to the US. So I'll just go ahead and start. Okay, what are the things that I'm going to go through today is how does FDA work, and also the predict system. It's a scoring system that is used by the FDA to label your reputation with them. And then I'll move on to food facility registration, prior notices, food canning establishment registration, labeling, and also Food Safety Modernization Act, also can be food safety plans. So how does FDA work? So the common myths out there is FDA approves your facility, or FDA approves your product, or even FDA requires a submission of labels or even inspection before registering your products. None of this is actually true. FDA registration is actually a facility registration. So you just need to register the facility that you are manufacturing or processing the product in order to export. That facility needs to be registered with the FDA. That's all that it is to it. And for products that they regulate, Congress passes a law and FDA writes the regulation into a CFR, And they also do not, FDA do not only act as an educator but also the enforcer. What they do is they do inspections in port for these products that are coming into US, and then they'll check if it's complying with the FDA regulations. And also they do inspections overseas at factory. And by inspection overseas, I mean any facility that is outside of US is a factory outside of US for them. So they do inspections over there. And just give me a sec. And I'll be talking a bit about the predict system that they use. So it's a system to determine which shipment to examine at the port. Even a sample is considered a shipment for them. So they prioritize higher risk shipment, considering inherent product risk. So if you have a medical device such as thermometer, these are regulated by the FDA, so they check this on port. And certain food products. I can't give you an example right now. It's not on top of my head, but some are there. And also they prioritize shippers FDA compliance history. So if you have shipped to the US previously and you had a bad reputation with them because they have detained your product, the next time you're shipping, you're going to be under their radar. So they will check your shipment. And also they use a randomization technique for an additional level of security. They just randomly check any shipment that is coming into US. And the factors that can alter your predict score with them is if you ship with an invalid registration number. So this registration number is obtained when you do a facility registration with the FDA, and it definitely has a due date for it. And if you start shipping after the due date without renewing it, it's considered an invalid registration number. So it will affect your predict score. It's better to keep the predict score high because there is a potential they might not go through your products or detain your products at the port. And another thing is the labeling errors. So if your labeling are not compliant with the FDA, there is a potential for them to detain as well. And also failed FDA facility inspection in previous years. So if you have an inspection before this particular shipment, before this you have had a registration with the FDA, and you fail that inspection, this is going to lower your predict score as well. So all of this is definitely in their system, and everyone can see it. And also consumer complain about your product. These are all the factors that can affect your predict score. So the enforcements that they do for all this FDA in compliancy, they do inspections at your facility, they do import refusals. By import refusals, meaning that they don't let you to export any product to the US anymore, and they have import alerts. Even if you do an export after that, they will detain it and they will not allow entry, and you have to fix the issue with them first. And they'll come up with warning letters if you still export, and it can also lead to suspension of registration. Some may even lead to civil and criminal penalties. Whatever the reason can be, whether it's detention, inspection, or import alert or warning letters, you have to pay the cost for it. They will not they will not take any expenses. You have to pay it. And even if you go through all this problem and you fix it, your reputation is still at risk because all of this will be in their system and they will publish it in their FDA database. So the basic FDA requirements that you need in order to export to the US is you need to comply with Bioterrorism Act of 2002. So I'm not going to go in detail with that, but I'll tell you another thing that you need to require, which is you need to have a facility that either manufactures, processes, packages, or stores the food, including beverages and dietary supplements. You need to have a facility in order to do a registration. Like I said earlier, it's a facility registration. And also on top of that, any foreign facilities that plans to export to the US need to designate a US agent. By foreign facility, any facility that is outside of US that is planning to ship to the US. So during the registration, the information that they require is facilities information, such as the name, corporate entity, the location of your facility, the trade name used by your company, contact information, and also product information. And there are certain exemptions to certain companies to not do an FDA registration, such as trading companies. Trading companies do not need to do an FDA registration because they do not have a particular facility or they are not a brand owner. So we can't do a registration for them. So traders do not need to do an FDA registration. And another exemption is personal residences. If your business is based in your personal residence, you do not need to do an FDA registration since it's a small scale business. And if it's only a transportation only, so let's say your business is to bring products from company A to company B, that is your job. You don't need to do an FDA registration because you're not directly involved with the product at all. Farms do not need to do an FDA registration, and also retail food. And by retail food, I mean retail stores. Fishing vessels do not need to do an FDA registration as well, as followed by USDA regulated facilities. USDA regulated facilities means that it's a different body other than US FDA. Certain products do not fall under US FDA, so USDA regulates them. For an example, it can be durian or even bird's nest. Some bird's nest, we can do the US FDA registration, but you also need to check with the USDA whether you need a license from them as well. And for all the registration, there is a renewal period, like I said before. Every 2 years, on even numbered years, you need to renew your registration. By renewing or registering your facility with the FDA, you are automatically giving consent to FDA inspection. So whenever they email you that they want to come down to inspect your facility, you can't say no. And failure to renew results in invalidated registration, and it is a prohibited act. By invalidated registration, meaning that if you have a registration this year and next year you did not renew it and you still want to export your product, it comes from an invalidated registration or a cancelled registration facility. So those products will not be granted entry into the US. This is because FDA purges database beginning of odd year following each renewal cycle. So let's say if it's 2020, 2021. In 2020, if you registered your facility, it's definitely valid until 2022. But when you reach 2022, and if you do not renew it at the beginning of the year 2023, it's automatically canceled registration. They'll purge your information off FDA database. These are the examples of the difference. So FDA registrations by country, like for France in the year 2020, there was 11,000, and 2021 there was only 9,500. This is automatically purged. Any facility that did not renew, they'll push them off the system, and they can't export their products anymore unless they do a new registration. So it's better to keep your registration active because you can keep using the same FDA registration number. If you do use a new registration number, you won't have the previous record that you have. So that is why. And also another thing is for you to file prior notices on every export that you do. Prior notices is basically a notification to the FDA. It has information such as the shipment and the facility. It's basically telling FDA that you have a shipment coming in, and these are the content of the product shipment. These are the products that are coming in. It's coming from a facility that is registered with the FDA, and this is the facility. it's coming to this particular pot at this time at this date. FDA does want to know this before you export your products, because it will be a random export if you send your products without filing a prior notice, and they will detain it to check the contents of it, and there is a higher potential for them to say it's incompliant for such and such reasons, maybe labels or invalidated registration, so and so. And it can be filed by exporter or importer or even a third party. So let's say you are the facility owner and you are exporting your products to the US. Yes, you need to file prior notices. But what if you are not a facility owner and you are buying a product from a manufacturer that is already FDA registered, but he doesn't want to file a prior notice for you? So you can do on their behalf for your shipment. Anyone can do this filing, but make sure to do it in order in before you export your product to the US. Now I'll be talking a bit about food canning establishment registration. So what is food canning establishment registration? It's an extra registration on top of FDA registration for low acid canned food products or acidified foods, or any food that comes in a Tetra Pak. So it's basically a registration for canned products and Tetra Pak products or any low acid or acidified foods. This is because they want to know the activity level and the pH value of your product before you start exporting. This is mainly done on the packaging itself. So these are the examples for like final pH value of a low acid canned food or acidified food or and water activity level. So it can be green olives in brine, artichokes, figs in syrup, and etc. It can be for acidified food. It can come in cans, glass, semi-rigid, and flexible pouches as well. For example, this can be it. So any canned products need an FCE registration. I wouldn't say any, but you need to check whether your particular product needs an FCE SID filing or not, because these kind of packaged products, they will require FCE or SID registration. Maybe the person at the port checking the product will say that you do not have an FCE registration with you, so I'm going to detain it. So in that terms, you can also produce them a certificate that says that, hey, my product has gone through this process, it doesn't need an FCE registration, so this is the certificate. So you definitely need the certificate in order to export these kind of products. Even the juice packs you can see over there. And for you to know whether your product is subject to FCE SID regulation, you can definitely go into this website, fcewizard.com. We own that website. You can go and put in the details of your product, and you will receive a PDF report. You can definitely share that with us, and we'll say if you need an FCE SID registration or not. Same goes for SID. SID is basically a number, same like FDA registration number. SID has a filing number for your particular product. Now I'll move on to food labeling. So for many years, they have not touched this topic. They have just followed the food labeling as how it was meant to be. But in 2014, based upon new research and nutritional data, FDA issued two proposed rules to modify the current nutrition facts label. And in 2015, supplemental proposed rule addressed to added sugars. So they went through all of this, and in 2016, the two final rules issued that mandate new nutrition facts label. So they came up with a new law for this nutrition facts labeling. And all these nutrition facts need to comply with the FDA before January 1, 2020. It has passed. So for example, the simple examples of changes that was made to nutrition facts label. So the first one is the type size for certain elements. On many labels, calories must be bolded in 16 point, while in the value must be bolded in 22 type point. And on this label, serving size information must also be bolded in at least 10 point time. These are the one of the changes. Second one is the serving sizes. FDA updated the reference amounts customarily consumed for certain products categories to reflect modern eating habits. So products in packages containing between 200 and 300% of their RACCs must display an additional column of information for their whole package. This is another one that they came up with. And then the declaration of added sugars. Sugars added during food processing, sugars packaged with intention of being added to food or certain naturally occurring sugars must be declared separately from total sugars. And the fourth one is nutrition information. Quantities for vitamin D, potassium, calcium, and iron must be listed. Quantities for these nutrients must be expressed in milligrams or micrograms. It can be any other nutrient as well. And also they wanted a new footnote, which is a percentage daily value. And these foods are intended for children age 1 through 3 must be substituted to 2000 calories with 1000 calories. So these are like the basic requirements that was changed, but depending on your product, that there can be different regulation, because this regulation was passed only recently, previously in previous years of 2020. So everyone is still learning of their facts, learning of their labels, and I would advise you to hire a professional to do this particular label for you, because certain labels, certain ingredients are prohibited by the FDA. So you need to know the way of listing that nutrient in your nutrition fact. So additional label formats, changes to other formats were something like this, like for simplified version, for linear version, and tabular version. So the mandatory declaration is statement of identity, the net quantity statement, ingredient list, allergen statement if applicable, and they want you to put in the manufacturer, distributor, or packer identity on your label as well, and and the country of origin the product is coming from. And for the ingredients, you must declare every ingredient by its common or usual name, and it must be in descending order by weight. Multi-component ingredients must declare sub-ingredients in parentheses. Most cannot be grouped together. Additional requirements for colors and flavors subject to food, FDA food additive regulation. So these are a lot to take in, but to be honest, this is just the surface area of how a nutrition fact label must be in order to comply with the FDA, because they came up with 1,500 pages long regulation for labels. So it's better for you to hire a professional to do all of this, because they will go through every nook to find whether you have a prohibited ingredient with you, or if your label is compliant, or what is wrong with your label. Can you please this? So all of this question can be answered by a professional to you. So the compliance date for all of these labels to be revised de- was dependent on the number, on the amount of sales that they are doing in US. So if their sale was more than 10 million, they need to comply with FDA labeling before January 1st of 2020. And if your sales were less than 10 million, you need to comply by January 1st, 2021. As you can see, all these years have passed. So now everyone needs to comply with the labeling requirement. And for food that you are labeling as organic, USDA plays a role in this as well. But products made with 100% organic ingredient may use the USDA organic seal or the term 100% organic. So you get this USDA organic seal by bringing your product to USDA, not US FDA. But US FDA regulates the exports of this product into US. USDA regulates this particular product on how you can label this product. So products made with at least 95% organic ingredient may use the USDA seal as well. But products made with 70 to 95% organic ingredient may use the phrase made with organic, and product that was made with less than 70% organic ingredient may only disclose individual organic ingredient in the ingredient statement. Now I'll be talking about the FSME FDA shift to being proactive. This is basically a Food Safety Modernization Act. It was implemented. So since the beginning of 2011 to 2016, they have been modifying the rules for FSMA, and not all the company needs to comply with with the FSMA. It depends on the product that you're shipping. So I'll give you a brief example on what are the products that doesn't need an FSMA in a while, but this is the process. But right now, all these years have passed, so the regulation is there already. I'll also talk a bit about preventive control rule. This is mainly for food safety plans. So why they do preventive control is to reduce the risk associated with the FDA registered human and animal food facilities. It includes food additives, GRAS substances, or dietary ingredients. So preventive control, and how do you come up with this is through sanitization control, supply chain control, and recall plans. All of this will go into your food safety plan. For example, this is the food safety plan, and it can only be developed by a preventive control qualified individual. We also call them as PCQI. You need to assign a PCQI to your products in your facility so that he goes through the hazard analysis and he comes up with a preventive control. Then he monitors the procedures, he take corrective actions, and then he does verification of these actions, and then he moves on to supply chain program. Only then he comes up with a recall plan. After he comes up with a recall plan, he does record keeping and reanalysis of this entire system. That is what a food safety plan is. And you can assign a PCQI from outside to do this, or you can also send someone from your company for a certificate to get a qualified PCQI, to be a qualified PCQI, so that he can come up with a food safety plan and take care of this for you. Certain facilities and foods that are exempt from food safety plans or FSMA are for facilities, retail establishments. Like for restaurants and stores, they do not need a food safety plan. And stored packaged foods. So let's say you have a facility that only stores product. Facilities that, like I said earlier, if you're a manufacturer or processor, repackager, relabeler, or even a storage unit guy, anyone anyone can do an FDA registration. Excuse me. Anyone can do an FDA registration. But for stored packaged food, you do not need a food safety plan because there is no exposure to environment. You are only keeping those products in a storage unit. And farms do not need to include to have food safety plan as well. And for foods, juice, seafood, dietary supplements, and alcoholic beverages, also USDA regulated products, these kind of food products do not need a food safety plan in order for you to export. And I forgot to mention, we do not require an FSMA or food safety plan in order to do a registration. We only need the facility information and your product information. So for food facility inspections, why they do inspection is because they want to identify the food safety problems before the product arrive in the US or enter interstate commerce. They want to determine the compliance status of facilities, and help FDA make admissibility decisions. It ensures that food products meet US requirement under the FDNC Act. And you do not have to worry, FDA does not come for an inspection to get your facility registered. The inspection is done randomly, and this is part of the process. So usually when you do an FDA registration, you are automatically complying and giving consent to the FDA, saying that you can come in for an inspection anytime you want. And they don't do this randomly. They will inform you first on when they are coming and who is coming to the inspection. And they select the facility based on their risk profile. So if your product is a risky product to be exported, they might choose your company to come and do the inspection. And if you have a complex process to produce your product, they might come for an inspection. And in previous years, if your facility had a compliance history with them, with refusal rates, previous inspection results, or any detention, if any of this happened because from your facility, there is a potential for them to come for an inspection. And also to new exporters who is shipping large volumes, and also by convenient. So let's say there is a drug FDA registered company nearby your company, and they are coming in for an inspection for that particular facility. They might choose your facility as well because it's nearby. It's convenient for them to check 4 to 5 facilities in nearby area. So that is why. And the inspection process, how does it go is that once you reply to the email that FDA sends you that they want to do an inspection in your office, it may take days, weeks, or even months, but they'll coordinate an inspection date for you and ask you to complete and return a factory profile information form to the FDA. Once you have done that, FDA will then come back with the name of the investigator, the flight info, ask you to make hotel reservations, and maybe even ask you to provide ground transportation. And all of this is not necessarily happening to your facility because there is a very low rate for your facility to get inspected by the FDA because they are all around the world. They choose only 5% of the facility that is involved with the FDA. And if you do not have a riskier product or any medical device product, they are not going to choose your company unless it's by convenience. And FDA will almost always issue a Form 483 inspectional observation at the end of the visit. What the form says is that it identifies the deficiencies and it is left with the management. It provides contact details for your response within the 15 days. And within the 15 days, you have to respond to the FDA and provide documentary evidence that you have fixed so and so problem. Some helpful tips if it happens to you: do not argue with the inspector and fix small issue on site to avoid mention on 483 form. After you respond to the FDA, they will eventually classify the inspection. It's either they are going to classify it as no action needed, voluntary action indicated, or official action indicated. So if it's an NAI, you don't have to do anything further. If it's VAI, they will say that you may want to fix this and this. But if it's OAI, official action indicated, you have to fix that problem. This is because after every inspection, FDA will update all this information into their online database, and anyone can go in their database and search for this information. They can see if it's NAI or VAI or OAI, everything will be there. So some recommendation is that preparedness is critical. Most companies think they are prepared, but they are not. We suggest to have a review by an external expert and immediately address simple issues found during the inspection process, because even a smallest issue is listed on the form 483. So when you're responding to 483 evidential solution. Don't don't just simply reply with a vague answer. You need an evidence. And for Registrar Corp, we have solution for all of this. Registrar Corp provides a full range of fixed fee compliance services for registration, prior notices, labeling, FCE visit, mock inspections, detention assistance, anything to do with FDA compliancy, we help you with that. So these are the services that we have. I'll be taking your question and answers, and I'll leave this up here, and you can scan the QR code to pass in your information so that one of our representative will give you a call. Now I'll be passing to
Yeah.
each.
Yep. Thank you, Tiva, for the sharing. I think that was very insightful, and I believe all of us have a better idea of like what needs to goes into what a book that needs to go into to apply for the FDA cert. So I have seen a couple of questions in the Q&A box for Tiva specifically. So we can just go and answer them right now. So for anyone who still have questions, please feel free to put them down in the Q&A box, and Tiva will assist to answer them. So Tiva, I think we have a first question by Shilpa. We are a small F&B business and do our own manufacturing OEM with a local brand. So does this mean the OEM facilities need to be FDA registered?
Yes, good question.
Mm,
So, like I said before, it's not a company or a brand registration. You need to register the facility. And if you're not the facility owner, you are asking someone to OEM your products, that make sure that particular facility is FDA registered. If they are not, you may request them to do an FDA registration.
Okay, Ken. That means if they are getting the product from the OEM facilities, they need to request for them to get the FDA certification. Okay, I think this also answer another question here, so I will just click both of them as done. If our product is OEM, how can we apply for FDA? I think this is like what you've mentioned, is up to them to communicate with the manufacturer themselves
Yeah.
and to have an arrangement out of that. So I think that answers the question also. Next question that we have over here is the facility inspection only applicable to facilities in the US, or does it apply to overseas facilities as well?
It applies to the facilities overseas as well. But like I said before, there is a very low chance for an FDA to come into an inspection for food and beverages products unless you have a very complex process going on for your production, or if you have a risky product for you to export. That is when they come for an inspection, and
Mm,
they do not come for an inspection to give you a registration. They randomly choose these facilities outside of US to come for an inspection because they want to see whether you are doing what you say you are doing.
mm. Okay, Ken. Thank you so much, Diva. I think we have a couple more questions. So Dr. Asaraf actually asked if you could share one label for food products and herbal product. So just wanted to check with you if you have any examples on hand. If not, we can just direct them to contact you directly via the contact us form.
Yes, they can just contact me via the form.
Yes. Okay, can. So that is done. So Dr. Asaraf, you can just scan a QR code and reach out to Tiva's team directly if you wish to get some templates on that. Um, I think we have a seller that asks for beauty drinks such as Bird Nest. Does it need to have FDA certified? Does it need to be FDA certified too? Yes, all products, regardless of what category, regardless of what type that you are selling on Amazon, needs to be FDA certified. So I hope that answered your question. Um, yep. So someone said, thanks, Diva, for the insightful presentation. Could you please get and give an overview of the process involved with an FDA registration for, let's say, perfume or fragrance product? Maybe you can just give a brief sharing on that.
Okay, let me just tell you, for perfume and fragrance, we I particularly am not sure whether they are FDA regulated, but they fall under cosmetics. So cosmetic registration is definitely regulated by the FDA, but it also depends on you whether you want to do the registration, because cosmetic registration is voluntary and you can only do the registration post market. So meaning you would have need to have sold your product in the US for at least a 10,000 USD sales. Only then we can do a voluntary registration for that particular product.
Mm,
Cosmetic is a bit different than food and beverages. Yes.
mm. Okay, Ken, thank you so much, Diva. Anyway, for this particular seller, if you would require more information, you can just also feel free to reach out to Diva's team. We will also include this contact information in our follow-up email to everyone here, uh, on which includes the recording as well as the contact information to reach Registrar Corp. So I think I have one more question from Julie. This is Amazon specific. What would be the cost involved to send across SKUs to FBA other than fulfillment charges? So I would say the other cost that you will need to take note of would be the cost, right, to ship your product from your local country to the US. So if you need more information regarding what kind of shipping companies you can involve or you can engage to ship your product to the fulfillment center, I will right now just include this link in the chat box so everyone could see. So basically, you can take a look at the shipping companies under our service provider network, and you can just reach out to them to get a quotation. Yeah. I see. Let me see if we have a couple more questions. How about, I think there is another question regarding FDA registration. This one is specific to the toy category. Yeah, I believe, okay, for toy category, I think I know one of the things that we need to get certified for sellers who are interested to sell in the toy category, especially toy for under the age of 13, you will need to get a CPC cert. You will need to get CPC certified. So for more information, you can go on to you can just Google it up, toy category requirement, or just give me 1 second. I will just quickly send the link over on the platform so that everyone can take a look on what are the required approval to sell in the different categories. Just give me 1 second. In the meantime, please feel free to put down any questions that you have and we will answer them. Yep. So for the seller who are interested to sell toys, I will include this link on the chat box so you can take a look at the category approval needed. Category. Yep. Let's see if there is anything else. Okay. Juvie asked another question. What if the goods are currently in Singapore in the 3PL and I want to move to Singapore FBA? What's the procedure? So for Juvie, we only cover sellers who are willing to sell, who are interested to sell from the local country, so say from Singapore to the US. So with any question regarding Amazon.sg, I can give you a link. I can give you an email address that you can reach out to. So you can reach out to them directly via this mailbox. Let me just send it over on the chat box as well so everyone can see. Yep, so that is done. Are we able to sell Chinese cooking oil, cooking wine? Is it possible to get it certified as well? So maybe I will hand this over to Diva. Do you have any experience with dealing with this particular category?
Yes, we definitely can get them registered,
Mm,
because in general, any food products, even food additives, can be considered under FDA's regulation, and all of this definitely falls under food and beverages. So we have done this cooking oil before, and yes, we can do it again.
mm. Okay, Can. And I think we have another question. Is there any restriction on tea products? How to register for FDA? So I think all these like category specific questions. Like I mentioned, I will be including Tiva's contact onto the email address, the one that he provided just now, into the email to you guys, so you can reach out to him separately to get a bit more details. Okay. If my supplier, so there's another question, if my supplier has done an FDA application for a different buyer, can I use the FDA registration for my private label to export to the US?
There's a lot of loopholes in that question.
Yeah, yeah. So,
But in generally speaking, I would say you can't use a different person's FDA registration unless if it's your product coming from a supplier who is registered with the FDA, then you can use his FDA registration number. But you can't use a supplier who is using a different person's FDA registration number, and that's going to be wrong.
okay, Ken. So I think the short answer is no. So if you like to find out a little bit more, to reach out to Tiva after this webinar. We have another question. Hi, for a home-based packet food business, do we still need to register with FDA? Can you clarify on exemptions on personal residence that you have mentioned earlier?
Yes. So we can't do a registration on personal residence because, like I said before, FDA registration is a facility registration, and your personal residence cannot be considered as a facility. Even if you have office unit, we can't register that as a facility. The best thing we can do is register your personal residence as a storage unit, which you don't want to, because if it's a personal residence business and you're doing A to Z in your house and then you're exporting to the US directly, you don't have to do an FDA registration. You only need to file a prior notice and let them know that you have a product coming in, because it's a very small scale business and you don't have a facility to be up for it.
Okay, thank you, Tiva. I hope that answered that particular seller question. So there is another one specific for Amazon. Hi, I need some advice for registering as an Amazon seller. I'm an Indonesian who stays in Malaysia, but I can only apply for my personal company in Indonesia. So when you are applying for an account on Amazon, you should always choose the country in which your business is located at. So I guess this question also stems from, okay, then what other documents do I submit for my verification documents? So you can always submit, let's say under bank statement, you can always submit a company bank statement. And then that should solve the problem. So I hope Jalina, I hope that answered your question. So if any information regarding registration, feel free to reach out to our mailbox. I will put down the mailbox address in the chat box below, globalselling at globalselling-c at amazon.com. So if you have any question regarding registration, do reach out to this mailbox and my colleague will assist you with the questions that you have. Okay. We have a seller who is interested to clarify a point. So if my seller has a FDA registration for tomato sauce for brand ABC, can I use the same FDA registration to ship the tomato sauce from the same supplier from brand XYZ? So meaning, yeah.
Could you repeat that? I think I'm lost a bit.
Okay, so basically the seller is asking if the supplier has FDA registration for the tomato sauce under the brand ABC. Can they use the same FDA registration for the same recipe and ingredient for the tomato sauce to be used for brand XYZ? Yeah, I think that's the question that the seller is asking.
Number from the same supplier can be used, but I would also suggest you, if you're using the same registration number and your brand is separate from them, this is another one. Have your own food safety plan, because you can share the FDA registration number between multiple brands, because there can be one manufacturer, because we can only do one registration on one facility. So if that's a manufacturer who does branding for like 10 different brands, everyone needs to share that FDA registration number. It's common. But the one thing that sets you apart is your food safety plans.
Okay, thank you, Vijay. I think we do not have any other questions in the Q&A box anymore. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Thiva, for hosting this. And I think for so for any questions regarding selling on Amazon or for Registrar Corp, please contact us separately. We will include all the contact details in our follow-up email to everyone. So with that being said, thank you everyone for joining us on a Friday. I know for some of the Malaysian sellers, you guys are enjoying your Hari Raya. So thank you so much for still joining us today. And yeah, have a good weekend and celebration, everyone. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Angie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.